All right, so today we're washing the Bimmer again, and we're gonna do some waxing and some buffing, mainly some buffing. So we got the hose out and got all the faggots here. So basically, we waxed the hood of the Bimmer the other day. You saw that in the video, and it didn't come out too good. So basically today I bought a big 10-inch electric buffer with some foam pads, some microfiber pads. And for me, I want to take most of the contaminants off the paint before I go out and I polish it, because it just gums up, especially if you just did a fresh wax on the paint. I don't want it to gum up the pad. So I just bought some concentrated car and truck wash. It's a powder. You put like a tablespoon or so into a bucket. I'm gonna clean the whole area of the hood with this, and I'm gonna clean this fender, and I'm gonna finish this fender. We're not using I believe it's a rubbing compound. We're not using a rubbing compound, it's too harsh. This is just single stage paint. This is all they had back in the day, so there's no clear coat on it. When you buff it, you're taking off like a layer of paint, and it's gonna bring the shine back. So, like I said, you're putting a little bit of that concentrate in the bucket with just some water. I have this like microfiber glove fucking thing, I don't know what it is. And you're just gonna wash down the hood. You're really trying to just take all the dirt and contaminants off the paint, because when you go to buff it, you don't want a piece of dirt, because it's very hard. It's a lot harder than the paint, so you're gonna put swirl marks all in your paint. And like I said, you just don't want a lot of wax on the paint surface when you're buffing it, because it's just gonna gum up your pad. I'm gonna go over the whole area that we're gonna be buffing today. You want to apply like a liberal amount of pressure onto the paint while you're cleaning it, because you're really trying to take whatever wax on the paint. Oh, and the reason why I bought that soap specifically is because it's not a wash and wax. Don't use a wash and wax, because all you're doing is putting more wax on your paint surface and other stuff. It's great for just a general wash, but when it comes to actually getting down and doing detailing, you really want to clean the surface. You want to make sure you get a good rinse through all the cracks and crevices, because that's where a lot of the dirt hides. And while the water runs off when it's drying, it's going to send a lot of that dirt onto the paint surface, so you just want to make sure you clean that or rinse that out thoroughly. So, as you can see, the water on the paint's still beating up. That means that there's still wax on the paint. Now, they're not going to sell a car wash that takes wax off the car, because the wax is supposed to protect the car's paint. So, if you really want to strip all the fucking wax off your car, you use Dawn soap. But the thing is, with Dawn soap, is what you're doing is, with car soap, there's a certain amount of lubrication that it provides to the paint. So when you go to buff it, the chances of burning your paint with your buffer pad are greatly increased. So basically, just use a car soap that isn't a wash and wax. So this is a general squeegee. Basically what you're using, it's a super absorbent cloth. So basically, to use it, why you're using it is it helps your paint, helps the water dry off your paint quicker. And if you were doing this as a general wash, it helps to relieve watermarks. So you want to get this thing soaked, and what you're going to do is just wring it out. You want to take all the water that you can squeeze out of it, you want it to come out. So basically fold it up nice, and start from the top and just go down. Wring it out again, because you're picking up all that water. Flip it, because you don't need to wring it out every time. It's a super absorbent cloth. Go down again. I don't know what brand this is, but they're called chamois. I don't know what else they're called. A ShamWow. That's more of a name brand, I guess you could say. But basically you can find these, I'd say, at just about any auto parts store. So I got this this 10-inch buffer from our local hardware store called Benny's. I already did a little bit. So as you can see, the paint came off, but what you're doing is basically you're taking off a level of paint to make it shine again. Here's the polish. It's a turtle wax premium polishing compound, not a rubbing compound, a polishing compound. This is a lighter grit than a rubbing compound is. Do not put this shit on the ground. You don't want dirt on it. Keep it clean. Yeah, I picked 10-inch buffer and the little bottle of compound up at Benny's for 45 bucks. I bet you have a local like hardware store around you that that sells similar products for similar prices. So we got the new buffer pad on there, and it's some cheap shit. So basically, when you have a flat surface, most of the time people will just take the compound and just rub it on there. But since we're doing the side on a fender, I'm going to put the material directly onto the pad using a liberal amount like that. It's kind of a lot, but more is better than none, because then you have more likely of a chance of dab it onto the area that you're going to start buffing. Put it on and just start buffing. You're gonna want to go in a consistent pattern, and you want to move fast so you don't burn the paint. And another big tip is when you have corners, like right here on the fender, do not sit there and buff the fuck out of that corner, because that's where the paint's the thinnest, because the paint doesn't like to hook on the corners, it likes to hook on the flat surfaces. So as you're buffing, just be conscious of your corners, because you'll burn the paint, you'll burn it right down to the primer. So as you can see, we're taking paint off, which is alright, because what you're doing is you're taking a layer, very thin layer of that paint off to make it shine once more. So right now I'm going to throw more compound onto the pad. Now we have an imperfection in the paint. If you have a jagged corner like that, the foam can get stuck to it and actually rip more of the paint off. So when you're doing an area like this, you want to be very cautious not to hit it too hard, because you're going to actually pull more paint off. We're going to start doing the hood now. Now, a good precautionary measure, looking out for those corners, pop the hood, and that's going to allow you to remove yourself from being able to hit the corner, so you just have the hood to do. And I'm just going to go around. You're not putting pressure down on the buffer. You're going to let the compound and the buffer do all the work. So now we're going to go over what we just did with the microfiber pad. The compound's just going to come off now. We have the microfiber pad on the buffer. But the thing is, with the buffer, you got to really hit it hard, and that buffer is only really supposed to spin at a very low RPM. So when you're pushing it down to try to take that rubbing compound off, it just doesn't like it. So I'm just going to hit it with a microfiber cloth. Should take it down just the same as the buffer would. You just got to put a little bit more work into it. So we just finished throwing the polishing compound down, and then after that you let it dry. So we took the paint down with the polishing compound and the foam pad. It did pretty good, and then after that I hit it with the microfiber pad on the buffer, and then I would take a microfiber cloth like this I'd fold it up. I would just go and rub all of the compound off. And that's what you're left with. It's a lot shinier. There's still a lot of imperfections in the paint that you can see, but it definitely took it down to a nice shiny level. And now all I have to do is wax. And the wax should basically make it shine like brand fucking new. The fender over here is a real good example of how it can come out looking fucking spotless. But you can see where it transfers from where I just buffed it to where the paint was before. And you can really tell the difference. Now we're just gonna wash it again, give it a good wash with the same soap, just to make sure everything's off. Just wipe it down real good. But that's about it. We just basically showed you how to make nice milky paint come out looking pretty good. So, hope you guys learned something, because I enjoy teaching you. So, take it easy.